Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are, of course, going to be going back to JRC here in a moment, but first, the disclaimers, as well as the trigger warnings. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, pertinent links are going to be there in the description box with Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject. A Neuroclastics article, remember, the one the JRC has threatened a defamation lawsuit against them in regards to, that they have on their website. In it, they have a survey they conducted with over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Since obviously the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center failed in their attempts at manipulation and intimidation, of course the article is still right there on the website, so please read it, share it on all your social media. We have Neuroclastics GoFundMe linked up in there as well in case the JRC ever does see through with their threat, because unlike them, we really don't have connections to unlimited funds quite like the JRC does. Trigger warnings when we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys. You're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use the headphones. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We do use profanity as well as speak on dark subjects. If your child's 16 and younger and watching, parental supervision is advised. So, Missouri is currently, folks, under a wind advisory with winds up to 50 to 60 miles per hour. So going out and taking out the trash today has been an interesting experience. And as per usual with Missouri, it can't seem to figure out whether it wanted to go ahead and, throw us a blizzard in the beginning of spring, or whether it wants to have a tornado, or whether it wants to be doing both. So, a lot of fun in my future, folks. A lot of fun in my future. Alright, now, we're going to get back to where we left off the other evening, and it was the third part of this article here that we went over last night. You remember where the JRC continues once again to act like they've never heard of the concept of one wearing a mask or ever have come across a person faking as though they're enjoying themselves. No, that never happens. Have you all, JRC, been around any real women lately? Do you know how many even neurotypical women we will fake crap, particularly if we get an uncomfortable feeling, like at the bus stop or what have you? Okay? Fake smiles, trying to be polite without offending anyone. Look like you're enjoying the conversation when in all actuality you really, really do hope somehow there is a storm and we can get struck by lightning so that we can be taken out of the conversation. Yeah, that's not just a neurodivergent thing. That's every human being thing, okay? Happens all the time. But willingly engaging in social interactions and all that, first of all, it's not willing if you are standing on my neck if I don't do it. That's not willingly. And in my normal life, since I don't have the JRC constantly threatening me, when I'm out socially, just know for a fact that it is, if it's not at Silver Dollar City or at one of our local restaurants, or the bookstore. It's involuntary. Have you met people, especially these days where everybody has completely and utterly lost their damn minds, and even any semblance of logic or critical thinking? So if you see me out in public and I am all smiles and looking like I'm really enjoying, small talk, just know that internally I'm like willing a lightning bolt to strike me, for a comet to strike the earth, and having a sudden aneurysm, contemplating faking a fake health scare. It's not willing. I can pretend that it is. And if you don't know me for very long periods of time, I'm pretty good at faking it, making you believe I want to be there and being engaged and will remember people's names and interact with them. All smiles, all happy speech and positivity, while deep down inside I want to be shot. Okay? And that's not just a neurodivergent thing, by the way. Neurotypicals run into it as well, but they're not nearly as deeply annoyed by it as we are. Okay? We don't want to deal with your illogical nonsense. We try to stay in our own lanes around our own folks just to avoid such situations. But we can wear that mask if the situation calls for it. So, the JRC saying, but all the behaviors went away, they're doing proactive things, going out in the community, going above and beyond. That's to get them off your ass. That's the only reason any neurodivergent does that shit and pretends to like it. Literally to get you off our ass. That's all it is. I literally call it my people quota, where I have to go outside and people. Okay? I don't enjoy it. Because every time I'm forced to do it, I have everybody and their mother infantilizing me. Speaking to me slowly, as though I'm 3 years old. And even worse, those who over are enthusiastic about me. Look at you getting out of your comfort zone. Let me say it again. Please shoot me. Alright? It's not that hard to fake things, including social outings. Pretending that we're really happy to see people and we remember your name and how's your foot. If I can get you to believe that I am enjoying that small, meaningless interaction with small talk about the weather, I have succeeded. And generally, in my experience, if I do it well enough, I don't have to do it again for a decent amount of time. So, I fill my people quota. Afterwards, I get the fuck off home. And I don't have to do such an interaction to put on that act again, at least for a few weeks when I'm lucky. Okay? So the JRC trying to use that and saying that we're acting excited and enthusiastic and all of that, it looks like we're willing, we're enjoying it. No, we're not. We're really not. We're smiling at you, and we may, depending on the day, have contemplated at least 5 different ways to get out of that situation without cops being involved. Alright? Good. Now, let's go where we left off the other day. I hate to be that point blank, folks, but I'm 40, I'm cranky, and I have had more than enough dealing with neurotypical bullshit. And when I'm at home with you all, the mask is off. I have no filter. I'm sorry if you're offended. Watch a cat video and go to the disclaimers. I'm a horrible human being. I can't help it, folks. Let me get back to where I was. Alright, yesterday we left off right here for this new paragraph of gaslighting. So, what this data and information demonstrates is that the small group of patients are at far greater risk of severe physical and psychological injury when so-called state-of-the-art, allegedly more modern therapies are used for them, because these therapies do not effectively treat their SIB and AB, then when ESD is a part of their treatment plans. First of all, JRC, is the data you are talking about in the room with us? This clinical study that you did to compare the two, including state-of-the-art, modern, literally what everybody else uses, is this in the room with us? Because I perused your clinical study. You at no point anywhere within that clinical study mentioned anything in regards to comparing the alternative therapies, as you called them, or as I called them, literally what everybody else uses, in comparison with, if that's data, shoot me. Okay? If that's data, please shoot me. Fact of the matter is, you included none of that information, JRC. In fact, that is the exact reason, as very well explained in detail by the FDA panel, why they did not give your so-called clinical study near the same weight in regards to the other studies that have been done on the literally multiple different other programs out there in comparison. Okay? But they're not effective in treating the SIB and AB. Have you tried it, JRC? I don't mean your bastardized stick and carrot routine. I mean, have you actually tried any of these other programs or plans? Has any student at the JRC, this is including those who are not on your device, by the way, have you ever tried them on a person-centered planning model? Have you ever tried them not on a positive-only approach, because we know in JRC terms that translates to no physical damage being inflicted, but have you utilized and ever tried on one of your students in regards to SIB and AB positive behavioral reinforcement? Not positive-only approaches, not your token program, not coming in and deliberately fucking up my shit, calling it, who knows, the name changes each year, and calling it therapy. Have you actually tried, as the program actually is, to implement for any of your students whatsoever regards to treatment to SIB or AB positive behavior reinforcement? Yes or no? Because the records say that's a big fat no. In fact, your own words in response to one of the many lawsuits that have been leveled against you after multiple decades, literally, we're talking 2006, folks. By this point in time, positive behavioral reinforcement had been the norm since around 1995. That is plenty of time to know that that is a part of current medical treatment in regards to SIB and AB. It was well established by the time that JRC was responding to that New York lawsuit back in 2006. They caused positive behavioral reinforcement, a theory. Not just that, they also said it was a theory with no data to back it up. And then they also confessed that they had no idea how that might be implemented inside their schools for their students. So what does that say? That tells me that JRC is absolutely and utterly clueless when it comes to the different programs out there and what their real success rates actually are. First off, it is a lie that around 2006 there was no data in regards to the positive behavioral reinforcement. That is a bald-faced lie, okay? Even back then, you could find studies from places like Yale and Cambridge and a few other Ivy Leagues such as Brown out there, East Coast and out in California. That were also starting to integrate it to be more a part of what we were doing out here in Missouri. At that time, we were more heavily traditional ABA, and they were kind of really bringing that in late 90s, early 2000s, and then the 2010s and everything. Between about 2008 and all that, they brought in the person-centered planning. So what this actually tells me is, JRC, you keep saying, but they didn't work, they didn't work, they didn't work. And I'll ask the question again, how the hell would you know? You've never tried any of them. But these other places tried, and I've already explained that too. Doesn't matter what kind of good data is backing a particular program. If a full functional behavioral assessment is not done beforehand, before talking intervention even begins, then no matter how high they're rated or how large their success rate, it still may fail because you're operating blind. When we say all programs are not the same, it's for a reason. That's because I may have autism, a person across from me may have autism. How our diagnosis affects each one of us is different as night and day. And where our most difficult areas are probably going to be very extremely different from one another, because autism is not one size fits all. And JRC, by the way, you can't use that to argue your program and saying, see, this is individualized and it's the only thing that works. Please stop bullshitting people. If you've not done the proper full functional behavioral assessment, you have done absolutely nothing. Okay? But we tried this and this and this and this, and none of it worked. Because you're operating blind. If you don't have the information at your fingertips to be able to utilize to select what would be the best type of treatment program and education program for that kid, then you are choosing blind. Choosing blind puts you in a hit or miss situation. Hit or miss situations means revolving doors from school to school to school. And as they're going from school to school to school, those new places they're getting sent to are also blind. They do not have a full functional behavioral assessment that can be passed on to them so that they can utilize all their school's tools to best assist the child. If everyone's flying blind, you can't be surprised when it falls through. It's going to fall through. It's going to keep falling through until people do their damn jobs properly. It's not rocket science. Stop with the attacking of alternative treatments. Not because I'm defending them, because I know JRC by your own words. That you have never at any point in time tried to utilize any real treatment or education program outside of your torture bubble. You do not use positive behavior reinforcement. You do not engage in person-centered planning. You do not have decent, fully fledged transition services so that these kids can go on and transition into adult services and go on from school into work or college. You've got literal bupkis. Bupkis. Absolutely nothing. All right? But, and then they participate in all of that, and nothing else worked. If you don't have if you don't have your shit together, no program can help you. Let me say that again. This is what it is in a nutshell. This is what it is very simply. If you do not have all your shit together, if you do not have at your fingertips vital, pertinent information to be able to review while choosing in regards to intervention the type of treatment and education program that's going to best address the needs and concerns that have been fleshed out in the full functional behavioral assessment. You got nothing. That does not mean that the state-of-the-art treatment programs used by everywhere else are failures, JRC. It means you are failures. You are the failures here. Okay? You and the Massachusetts courts who essentially kiss your ass are the ones failing. Alright? You can't just randomly throw a kid into one of these programs and with a Hail Mary expect it to miraculously work, and after a day or two all the behaviors are gone and your little cherub child of your dreams is there in its place. Because that's not reality. Okay? You're not doing yourself any favors continuing to hammer on what is the current standard within the medical model in regards to our care. You are absolutely abysmally ignorant in regards to what those programs are, how they are utilized, what their actual data is, and what that actual data even means within context. There's a reason why there's multiple programs, as I have addressed multiple times on this channel. But the JRC continues to play dumb and never answer any direct challenge to their insanity. They continue to punch down without realizing they're the joke. They punch down, they're the joke. There's a reason why the rest of the medical model does things the way that they do. Is it perfect? Oh, hell no, it's not. There are a lot of deep, messed up, insane issues within the medical model that need to be addressed. The biggest one on the table being that in regards to people like myself, our treatment is more a case of making me into someone that everybody else would like. Literally, my treatment is geared towards other people instead of myself. This is an interesting phenomenon that is very specific to neurodivergent folks. Our treatment programs literally cater to everybody else and to societal norms. They do not cater to ourselves. The only real program that I've seen kind of slowly step out of that is person-centered planning. But even within that program, there are still issues to be addressed. And the reason why mine went the way it did instead of the way others can be influenced, even with that parameter, is essentially my mom and I put our foots down in regards to some of the crap that they suggested. I get it honestly, folks. I get it honestly. I am my mother's daughter in a lot of ways, every bit as much as I am my dad's daughter. Alright. Not to mention it was simultaneous, too. Genes are funny sometimes. Sorry, a little bit of levity here. But at the end of the day, the JRC has no business trashing any other program. Even though there's a lot of them that do have their own severe problems, and at the root of it was what I just told you. They cater to everybody else, but the person who the treatment plan is supposed to be for. As long as that remains unchanged, there will always end up being another Judge Rotenberg center down the line to haunt us all. But the JRC has no grounds to be attacking anyone, because they are not knowledgeable whatsoever in regards to these alternative programs. They have no experts that work within those alternative means within their schools. They have had the exact same types of programs all the way back to the 1970s. The only thing that they have actually changed is they've gone from beating kids with spatulas to using a human shock collar. And locations. Because where they started out in California and out in Rhode Island, threw them out and did not allow them to practice their idea of medicine or education inside their states. They were literally banned. How many schools have you ever heard of literally getting banned from the states? Yeah, food for thought, right? Alright, let's read a little bit more of this gaslighting and we'll get on to the next video. And then I'm going to take a look outside. See if any debris I need to pick up off the balcony over there. All right. They are able to participate in education if they're effectively treated, that contribute to their quality of life. You cannot have quality of life when a metaphorical Damocles sword in the form of a very real, scary, and evil human shock collar is always there to remind you that you have no power, control, or self-autonomy. The direct care staff that lives 3 feet away from you at all times does, and tell me that that lends itself to quality of life. Because if that's what we're going to start deeming as a good quality of life, and they start implementing it because of psychos like RFK Jr. are so afraid from Big Pharma that they're willing to engage in anything, no matter how insane and evil, because that's kind of how pseudoscience works. There's a reason why I loathe it with the entirety of my being. No, that's not quality of life. I would not consider being forced to wear something against my will that would cause me horrific amounts of pain at any moment if I even for a split second drop my mask as something that contributes to quality of life. And by the way, quality of life and what that means is different depending on the person. And I'm pointing this at all neurotypicals. With all due respect, who the hell do you think you are to try and tell us what quality of our lives should look like? You have some nerve. Because you know what? We don't have to enjoy the things that you enjoy. We don't have to engage on quote unquote normal things to have quality of life. We don't have to socialize 24/7 with makeup and fake smiles and even more ridiculous small talk. Going out to movies and shopping and in order to have quality of life. My quality of life, quite frankly, it's whatever the hell I say it is. Not what society tries to push me into. Okay? Newsflash, I'm not normal. I'm never going to be normal. Thank you, sweet baby Jesus. No, literally. Literally. Thank you, sweet baby Jesus. My quality of life is being able to make it while having the fun things at home that I like, be able to have affordability, be able to get my medications, and every so often get to journey out towards the rolling Ozark Hills out in the Branson area. Get to go to Silver Dollar City. Get to go see my favorite bookstores out there at the Tinger and Red Roof outlets. It's on occasion going to East Coast to see some of my dad's folks. It's the possibility of someday maybe I'll go back and see England and Scotland again before I die. It is fighting every day, every second, to my last breath, so that disabled folks like me will be treated as the full human beings we are, with dignity and respect, until I croak it. That is a well-rounded, good quality of life for me. Well, and I forgot. Every Halloween season, my brother and I have to raid theaters, go on haunted mazes, and different haunted houses all around the area, because we can. You get my point. And it's a very big problem throughout the medical model. This idea of trying to get us through all these things so that we can have what they consider quality of life. What that looks like for an neurotypical. Problem is, it's fan fictionalized. There is no unanimous idea amongst neurotypicals of what a real quality of life would look like. So obviously some very fundamental problems in the medical model here. But yeah, quit telling us what we should think a good quality of life is. Quit trying to insist that me being on a shot collar for the rest of my existence because you all can't seem to figure out that the best way to solve any problem is to get at its root first. To engage in things that I absolutely deplore and despise on a regular basis instead of just putting my time in and then opting out for the rest of the year. Yeah, JRC. You don't know what you're talking about in regards to other programs. You do not have a right to try to tell others what a good quality of life is. And if you really think those kids with their practiced too perfect smiles and they're acting genuinely excited to be there, they're not. In fact, when it comes to excitement, if I don't feel it at all, I will overact it. Many of us do. Which is how my brother call me out on it, because they know what I look like when I'm genuinely excited and when I'm faking it. So I can get out of it. Alright? We're going to close out before I go ahead and get us into another left field here, but they do finish up this paragraph saying that the FDA's risk-benefit analysis is woefully inadequate. No, JRC. The FDA went through every single detail painstakingly and gave you their answer and a very detailed description as to how they got to that answer. You did what you always do. You did not read a single thing. You did not respond to any of the challenges. You are putting out the exact same copy-paste drivel you always do. And this is why we're in this circle of me having to read just same stupid shit that's been debunked over and over and over again, going back to when I started all this back in 2008. The FDA did its job. It measured those alternative treatment programs. They looked at current data. They went over exactly what those programs look like, what they do, and why, even though none program is going to have a 100% success rate, because this is the real world, real data versus JRC's fuckery. FDA made the right decision. As far as risk-benefit, a mere second stopping self-injurious behavior, and the trade-off being second to third degree burns. If anything, the FDA's response to your insanity is actually understated. And quite frankly, I believe every single last one of you. And all the staff going all the way back to the 70s that willingly engaged with this belongs behind bars. We're going to go ahead and close out on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Please, folks, don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time, and as always, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll see you all in a few minutes. Bye, everyone.